It was the middle of the night when I heard it again. Thud, then another. Thud, thud. Heavy, slow footsteps, right above my bedroom ceiling. My eyes snapped open. My heart pounded so hard I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. For a few seconds, I just lay there, staring at the dark ceiling. I couldn't move. I whispered to myself, "It's just the wind, it's just the wind." But the footsteps didn't stop. They started moving, pacing from one side of the attic to the other, slow and steady. Then came a dragging sound, like someone pulling something heavy across the floor. My whole body went cold. Because I live alone. The attic doesn't even have a floor, just wooden beams and old insulation. Nobody should be up there. Nobody could be up there. I slowly sat up, every creak of the bed sounding like a scream in the quiet room. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and stared at the ceiling again. Thud. It came again, louder this time, right above where I sat. I swallowed hard and whispered, "Hello." The footsteps stopped. Then something tapped twice, knock, knock, directly over my head. I dropped my phone. The light hit the wall, casting long shadows across the room. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely breathe. Then I heard it, a soft voice, whispering through the ceiling. "Sarah." That was my name. I jumped out of bed and ran to the hallway. The air felt colder there, heavier. I stared at the small pull-down string for the attic door above me. It swayed slowly, as if something had just touched it. I wanted to run out of the house. But curiosity, or maybe fear, made me stay. I whispered again, "Who's there?" The attic door creaked, but didn't open. Then the sound of something scratching echoed from above, followed by a low dragging noise that moved toward the attic ladder. I covered my mouth to stop myself from screaming. And then a small puff of dust fell from the ceiling, landing right in front of me. Something was up there. Something alive. 3 days earlier, everything had been normal. I'd moved into the house just a month ago, a small 2-story home on a quiet street. It was old but charming, with peeling wallpaper and wooden floors that groaned when you walked. The first few nights were peaceful. Then, little things started happening. At first, it was sounds, creaks, soft knocks, faint tapping. I thought it was just the house settling. Oldwood makes noises, right? But one night, while watching TV, I heard what sounded like a chair scraping across the floor upstairs. When I went up to check, every room was empty. I told myself it was my imagination. But then, the next night, while brushing my teeth, I heard laughter. A child's laughter, faint, echoing through the vents. I froze, toothpaste still in my mouth. The laughter came again, soft, playful, but wrong. I turned off the sink and listened. Silence. When I told my friend Daniel about it the next morning, he laughed. "You've been watching too many horror movies," he said. I laughed too, but it didn't feel funny. That night, I tried to sleep with music playing to drown out the sounds. But sometime after midnight, my playlist stopped. My phone was dead, even though I'd plugged it in. Then came the first footsteps. Slow, heavy, right above my bed. I remember staring up into the darkness, my breath stuck in my chest. My first thought was, someone broke in. Maybe a thief hiding in the attic. But then, when I called the police, they found nothing. The officer checked the attic, shining his flashlight into every corner. Nothing but dust and cobwebs. He said, probably just squirrels or raccoons. But the next night, I heard humming. A woman's voice. Soft. Sad. Coming from the same place, the attic. When I asked, "Who's there?" it stopped immediately. I barely slept. I tried to convince myself that I was imagining things. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. I even started hearing small things during the day. Faint thumps, the creak of footsteps when I walked downstairs, doors that were open when I swore I'd closed them. Then last night, I came home from work and found the attic door slightly open. Just a few inches. I froze at the bottom of the stairs, staring at it. I hadn't opened it. "Maybe the wind," I whispered. But then I saw the footprints. Tiny, dusty footprints on the hallway floor, leading from the attic door toward my bedroom. I followed them slowly. They stopped right next to my bed. That night, I slept with all the lights on. And now, here I was again, standing in the dark hallway, hearing those heavy footsteps above me. The same slow steps, back and forth, back and forth. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. I reached up slowly and tugged on the attic string. The door creaked open. A cold rush of air spilled out, smelling like dust and something else, something rotten. I shone my flashlight up the ladder. "Hello." Silence. Then, from the darkness above, came came the sound of breathing. Slow, raspy, close. I took one shaky step up the ladder, shining the light into the attic. It caught something in the far corner, a shape, hunched and still. I squinted. Who's there? The shape twitched. Then it moved, crawling fast across the floor toward me. I screamed and fell backward off the ladder, crashing onto the hallway floor. My flashlight flew from my hand, spinning. When it stopped, the beam pointed upward. The attic door was wide open now, and something was peering down at me. Sarah lay frozen on the floor, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The attic door hung open above her, the air around it cold like the inside of a freezer. She didn't move, didn't even blink. She just stared at the two glowing eyes peeking through the darkness. Then nothing. The eyes disappeared. The air went still. She waited for a sound, a creak, a breath, a whisper, but there was only silence. Very slowly, she reached for her phone lying by the bed. Her hands shook as she unlocked it and dialed 911. "Someone's in my attic," she whispered. Please send someone fast." The operator's calm voice told her to stay on the line, to go outside if she could. But Sarah didn't move. She couldn't. Her legs felt like stone. Then she heard it again, thud, thud, footsteps pacing above her. But this time, they weren't moving randomly. They were following her every move. She took a step back, thud. Another step, thud. It was copying her. Her phone slipped from her trembling fingers and hit the floor. The footsteps stopped. Then, a faint sound drifted down from the attic. A soft, breathy whisper. "Sarah, you shouldn't have called them." Her heart jumped. How did it know her name? She stumbled backward, tears filling her eyes. She ran for the front door, twisting the knob, but it wouldn't move. She pulled harder, locked. Every lock clicked shut on its own. One after another, click, click, click. She turned around, shaking all over. The hallway lights flickered. The attic door still hung open. Something was moving in the shadows above. And then a long, thin arm reached down from the attic hatch, its skin pale and stretched like wet paper. Sarah screamed and backed against the wall. The arm groped around, searching, feeling the air. Its fingers brushed against her picture frame, hanging on the wall. The photo fell and shattered, the glass scattering across the floor. Then, the arm pulled back into the attic. Silence again. Sarah didn't wait. She ran to the kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife she could find. She stood there, gripping it so hard her knuckles turned white. Her breath came fast and shallow. After a moment, she forced herself toward the attic ladder again. She told herself she couldn't keep hiding. Whatever it was living in her house. She whispered, "I have to see." She climbed one step, 2 steps. The wood creaked loudly. Her flashlight flickered, but she kept going. When her head finally rose above the attic floor, she froze. The attic looked empty, except for something strange. A small mattress lay in the corner. Next to it, food wrappers, empty bottles, and a small candle burned low, its wax pooled on the dusty floor. Someone had been living there. Sarah's mouth went dry. She whispered, "Oh my God." Then she heard something shift behind a stack of old boxes. A faint sound, like someone exhaling. Her flashlight beam shook as she pointed it toward the sound. There, crouched in the shadows, was a man. His face was thin and pale, his eyes too wide. He smiled when the light hit him. "Sorry," he said softly. "Did I wake you?" Sarah screamed and stumbled down the ladder. She dropped the flashlight, which rolled away, its beam spinning wildly. The man laughed, a dry crack sound. Then thud. The attic door slammed shut. Sarah fell back and scrambled away, gasping. She could hear him moving above her again, quick, heavy steps. He was crawling around like an animal. Then she realized something terrible. There were 2 sets of footsteps now. One heavy, one light. Thud tap, thud tap. Her voice trembled. Who else is up there? She pressed her ear to the floor. A faint giggle came from above. A child's laugh. Her blood ran cold. "There's a child up there," she whispered. But she lived alone. The footsteps stopped again. Then, a whisper right above her ceiling. "We've always lived here, Sarah." She screamed and ran for the front door again. This time it opened, suddenly, like someone wanted her to leave. She bolted outside, barefoot, clutching the knife, crying as she ran into the street. Her neighbor, Mr. Henry, came out when he heard her shouting. He grabbed her shoulders. "Sarah, what happened?" She gasped, pointing at her house. "There's someone in my attic. Please, call the police." Henry looked confused. He frowned. "Sarah, the The police already came earlier this evening. They said the attic was empty. I saw them leave. Sarah shook her head. No, he's still there. They're still there. Henry looked past her, at her house. The attic window light flickered once. Then he froze. Sarah, he said softly, you're not going to believe this, but no one's lived in that house for 10 years. Sarah stared at him, trembling. I live there, she whispered. I moved in a month ago. Henry's face went pale. That's impossible, he said. They tore the inside out years ago. That place has been empty since the accident. Sarah turned to look at her house. The lights in every window began to flicker, all at once. And then, from the attic window, a shadow moved across the glass. It was waving, slowly, at her.